we're going to pick up where we left off with the last file. I'm just going to dive back into that attribute VOP. Let's delete this transform out. So this is just a standard noise lookup here. Now let's dial this back here. Let's say 333. What if we want to distort and deform these coordinates here instead of just rotating and scaling? Like, let's try to do something really interesting. So how about we actually feed our incoming position in through some noise deformation and then wire that into position. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab a turbulent noise. I'm going to change this from alligator because alligator only works in positive range. It's only going to go from 0 to 1, which means it's going to like kind of look diagonal. I want sparse convolution, which is going to go negative and positive in all the directions. And I want to make sure I am outputting three-dimensional noise here. So let's say we'll connect that in here. Now I can't just connect that straight into here because that's just going to be a noise looking up another noise, and it's going to not be as cohesive or do what I want. What I really want to do is displace this position here. So I'm going to simply take this noise and I'm going to add our position to it. Or we can think the other way, just take our original position and add some noise into that position. And then I'm going to take the sum and plug that straight into position here. So the cool thing here is that I can dial this to 0, and it's basically like it has no effect. Or I can go up to 1, and we have full effect, or go even higher. Now we have two things that we can play with to really make this work. We have our warping noise, so I will call this a warp noise. If I were to label this, we could just call it like warping noise. And then we have our more fractally noise here. And maybe if we dial this down, it will be a little easier to see. We'll just take the roughness down a little bit as well. So now I can really play up some kind of crazy looks here and get some things that look almost like marbles or wood grain. Play with the frequency a bit. You know, we can do some things that are stretching or squashing. There's a lot of stuff to play with here, but you can see how you can take this and make some stuff that's really interesting and quite different than you know, things that you would get just by plugging straight noise in and not doing anything else with it. Get some really, really cool looks, and I've done some stuff that's look like wood grain and you know, a few other things just by doing this kind of warping of the noise. You get things that can flow and look really cool. And the other really cool thing is once you start offsetting this as well, if you're using a 4-dimensional noise, why don't we do that? Let's just quickly plug in something like another anti-alias noise here. And we'll go ahead and make that a 4D noise, and I'll just go really quickly do a vector 2, vector 4. Just going to change the frequency here a little bit. Dial the amplitude up to something pretty high. Now the cool thing is that once you start evolving this noise, then you get some really cool looks happening here. And this is really cool to see in animation. It just looks like incredibly natural and organic. And you can get some really beautiful things that can sometimes look like, you know, ink effects and stuff. So that's going to conclude this chapter on warping noises.